We're gonna have our justice. We're not finished. We want justice for your lies.
The Liberals are pushing back against Trudeau. Welcome back to Muslim Loose. My name's David. Today's top stories here. We've got some Liberals coming out and wanting to put Chrystia Freeland in Justin Trudeau's chair. That's right. They want to get rid of Justin Trudeau and make Chrystia Freeland the leader of the Liberals. This clown show never ends, and it's ridiculous for them to think that it'll change anything. We've also got Jagmeet's brother Garatin coming to Jagmeet's defense. It's all very embarrassing. First off, we've got Captain Schmuck here. He's making some appearances for Christmas stuff, wrapping presents and whatever, doing these kind of social media things. Still hasn't spoken to Canadians though about everything that's gone on.
There we go. Okay.
Have you always been the primary rapper?
I've been one of the key rappers in the household. There we go.
I bet he's never rapped a present in his life. Come on. He doesn't know what he's doing. Look at this guy. He's struggling so bad. He's in Ottawa. This is staged from last week when he was there for the by-election campaigning. That's funny if that's true. If this is old footage, they're just repurposing. We got a photo he just put up just the other day. More posing for the camera as usual. We got this one, ad spotted in Jagmeet's riding. Unemployment, who cares? Overloaded hospitals, meh. Not enough doctors, whatever. So we've got this. It says, help with immigration for Burnaby residents. Contact my office. Jagmeet Singh. So he's really doubling down, just trying to save his own butt at this point. This looks like one of those bus stop ads. Next up, only in Brampton would you see something like this. So if you look carefully, it's a long table with both the doors of the car open. Okay, we can't have that music in there, but I mean, look at this. Come on, guys. Even if you're going to do this, you strap it to the top of your car. This is so dumb. Takes the cake for the best way to transport a folding table. That car's getting good mileage too. Next up, we got this one from Chandra Arya. So this is a Liberal MP here. So he released this letter just yesterday and it says, hello, Prime Minister. Thank you for your leadership, blah, blah, blah. While I'm aligned as a fiscally center-right Liberal and have often disagreed with you on more left-leaning positions, I'm consistently supporting you since last summer, even though our colleagues called for your resignation. However, it became apparent today that you no longer hold the confidence of House of Commons. Now I'm reasonably certain that a majority of Liberal caucus no longer supports your leadership. Chrystia Freeland's resignation marked a pivotal shift. While I was disappointed by the timing of her announcement, I must acknowledge her exceptional political acumen. Whether by design or circumstance, she's emerged as a credible and stable alternative to your leadership. Despite your low approval ratings, my support for you stemmed from the lack of viable and reassuring alternative. Chrystia Freeland has now filled that void to the Liberal caucus and Canadians at large. She represents stable and competence, ready to lead immediately. Her successful track record positions her ideally to address the looming challenges posed by a new U.S. administration. Christie's approach, polite yet firm, has demonstrated her capacity to stand up to even the most intimidating personalities, embodying the strength of an iron fist in a velvet glove. With all the opposition parties united on a vote of motion non-confidence, I believe it's time for you to step aside as a leader from the Liberal caucus immediately. Christia's years of dedication to building and maintaining caucus relationships, something unparalleled even by your closest advisors, give her a unique ability to unite the party. I'm confident the caucus will rally behind her. Under Christia's leadership, we can preserve your legacy and protect it from being dismantled by the current official opposition. So you got these crumb snatchers here rallying behind Chrystia Freeland. This clown show's gotta go. Like, these guys are all ridiculous. So someone has posted his writing here. Yes, conservative. Likely he's gonna lose his seat. You waited until you knew you weren't getting a cabinet position to call for him to step down. Canadians do not want a Liberal leadership review. You already had one and you picked one. We won an election. Yeah, so he did. He waited for the cabinet positions to be picked. Now we see all these crumb snatchers coming out, running their mouths like they're some sort of patriot for Canada. A $65 billion deficit inspires confidence. It's actually 62, but yeah, while I'm getting tired of Trudeau, this seems like an out of the fire into the frying pan type of move. So this guy's getting called out here in the comment section. And Captain Schmuck was once again spotted here dodging cameras. Got this posted by Right Blend, says Justin Trudeau ignored questions about resigning, snuck out the back door of Parliament, but angry Canadian man Johnny Rowe was waiting for him and epically called him out and his fake news friends.
We want an election. We want justice for your lies. You're a liar. We're going to have our justice. We're not finished. We want justice for your lies and your corruption.
The guy just waves to the camera like, what kind of clown world does he live in?
Lies and corruption that have left this country in despair, decay, death. desolation and destruction because of your lies, lies and corruption, war lies, money lies, and COVID lies. You're a COVID liar, and you will pay for your COVID lies. We will have an election, and we will never forget your COVID lies, and we won't forget your COVID lies either. You liars, liars, liars.
Wow. We've also got another image here Justin Trudeau released of him showing he can wrap presents. Dude, it's time to step down. Justin Trudeau also put out a tweet here that says, I'm sickened by the reports of the pew-pews fired at a Jewish elementary school in North York. That's right. So not really something I can easily report on the channel here, but yes, there was another one of these events in our country. Thanks to the rise of this type of thing in our country. He mentions the, anti-Semitic attack on Toronto's Jewish community. Law enforcement is investigating, yada, yada. We know why this is happening, Trudeau. We got this one here. It says it's bad when even CBC News is reporting that Trudeau is hiding from Canadians and his ministers have to fend off questions.
He's left you alone in the cold. Where is he?
The Prime Minister missing in action, leaving his newly minted ministers to do the talking.
The Prime Minister is not here today to...
Yeah, he's leaving. He's got all the new ministers out here to take all the questions. This is so sad. It's pathetic.
Answer questions and address Canadians.
We were just with him inside and had some great conversation as to the work that we have ahead of us.
They're not doing any work. The government's locked down and you're going on Christmas break for like 6 weeks. What work is there?
Justin Trudeau speaking to Liberals, but not to Canadians, leaving them in the dark and his cabinet stuck answering a big question only he can answer.
What assurances has the Prime Minister given you that he will stay on until the next election?
The Prime Minister was quite clear that he has a choice that he's reflecting on.
He's left you alone in the cold.
He has a choice he's reflecting on, but he's going to take his time, though, because Canada doesn't need to be run. I think Canadians have been reflecting on this for long enough. It's time for him to go. So next up, we got a couple other videos here. This one talking about Pierre Poilievre's move there to contact directly Mary Simon, the Governor General, and try to get her to put in a confidence motion.
Tumultuous week there in the nation's capital. Let's begin with the leader of the opposition, Pierre Poilievre, who we just heard from, now wants the Governor General to recall the House for a non-confidence vote. Could that happen? What could it take?
Yeah, Scott, another remarkable day here on Parliament Hill. So our indications are, I was in that press conference there with Mr. Poilievre, that he will imminently be writing to the Governor General making this request. Now, in terms of what happens from here is a big question mark. I would say we're kind of in unprecedented territory. So we will see. We've reached out to the Governor General's office about what her response to this request will be. But as you noted off the top there, Mr. Poilievre's assertion here is based on the rapidly unfolding series of events that have happened just today, really. Now that we have the NDP saying that they are ready to vote non-confidence in Justin Trudeau in 2025 being when the House was next supposed to sit. They wrapped up for the week, aren't supposed to be back until January 27th. And then Poilievre was noting, because there are now more than a dozen Liberal MPs who have expressed that they want Trudeau to go, he is reading that as they have lost confidence in him. When you add up all of those MPs, it's around 70%. So it'll be really interesting to see where we go from here in the next couple hours, what response we get from the Governor General, if this could be into a situation where they're all called together to talk about it. But typically, Scott, what needs to happen for the Governor General to get involved would have to be a loss of confidence vote in the House of Commons. We've heard some of these people express verbally that they think the Prime Minister should go or that they don't have confidence, but it's really that mechanism of casting a vote in the House that typically triggers this kind of constitutional question about a potential fall of the Parliament.
And Rachel?
I don't know if Mary Simon, the Governor General, is actually going to do it because she's been living a lavish life because of Justin Trudeau. She's got plenty of scandals herself. So she's faced scandals of not having proficiency in French. Even just recently, she canceled a trip because of it. She was getting embarrassed, I think, in Quebec because of that. She spent a ton of money on travel. We've got them here, $1.3 million going to the Middle East in 2022. Germany book fare, $800,000. $200 per plate meals. In-flight catering, $100,000. Limousine services in Iceland, $71,000. Her first full year in office, she spent $3 million in travel expenses. Dry cleaning came in $117,000. Trudeau found someone really corrupt that he could use as a Governor General who wouldn't betray him. I don't think she's going to call an election or do what Poilievre says, but who knows? Maybe she has a conscience and decides to. She has more power than anyone in this country right now. So I think she's one of Trudeau's den of thieves. I think she's just as corrupt as him. I don't think she's going to do anything.
So the other new development, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh now threatening to take down the government government, but of course making this threat as Parliament is not sitting anymore. What mechanisms does he have here?
Not many. So I think what is really key for Canadians watching right now to understand is what Jagmeet Singh is saying is that should there be a chance in 2025 when Parliament resumes, that's kind of his positioning, his party would be ready to bring forward a motion of non-confidence. Does that mean if a different non-confidence motion came up from the Conservatives through a supply option, through a spending bill, would they vote for that? They're not clear, really not answering our questions on that at this point. Would this mean that he would be ready to go if the Governor General did heed Poilievre's call for non-confidence vote this year, in the next couple of days? That is an open question. So essentially what Poilievre is pushing for is trying to kind of call Singh on this. He was critical, Poilievre was, of NDP leader Jagmeet Singh saying he tore up his supply and confidence deal with the Liberals back in September and then going ahead and voting confidence with the Liberals pretty much at every chance they got during the fall sitting. So it's still a big question right now in terms of how soon or how serious Singh is about prompting the country into an early election and what mechanism they would be okay doing that with, because they have said in the past that they tore up the deal, they were ready for an election, but then kept this government alive. So he's saying now he's ready to vote on confidence. We'll have to see how soon that could be and in what kind of form the NDP would be ready to make that move. So just kind of a caution, it's very chaotic here in Ottawa right now, as everyone is aware, but we aren't right yet on the precipice of an election. Fair to say, though, that an early election is increasingly becoming likely.
The key question I'm wondering about is if Jagmeet Singh, say he wins his seat, is he going to stay the leader? Are they going to have a new leadership race? Are they going to get rid of that guy in the NDP? He's proven to just be self-serving. He doesn't give a crap about anyone but himself. So I can't imagine the rest of the NDP are cool with this situation, because you've got, I think, 4 of them who needed to get to October 2021 to get their pensions. So if they win their seats and they stay on, they get their pensions, they'll keep supporting Jagmeet, I would assume. But if they don't, what does that say to the rest of them that are sticking around? They're like, oh, Jagmeet's plan didn't work out. This guy hasn't delivered anything. Are they going to have their own leadership race there to get rid of Jagmeet? So we're jumping over to the front bench now. We're just going to play the second half here where they bring on Jagmeet's brother here, Garutin. Just listen to this nonsense.
Garutin, the other thing that happened today, while the shuffle was happening, was Jagmeet Singh, your brother, essentially saying, that's it, we're done, we're really done now. And I say we're really done because ripped up the supply and confidence agreement back in September. But now, to Steve McKinnon's point, I guess what changed in the last 6 months since the NDP had been voting with the government and had essentially been saying that there has been confidence? Do you think that sends a bit of a mixed message to Canadians as to where the NDP stands?
I think off the top of this segment itself, you recognize that the past week has felt like a month. So much has happened, especially with that damning letter from Freeland on Monday, and it really fractured an already really weakened Liberal Party. And what we're seeing right now is the byproduct of that not only has the Liberal Party been rejected by Canadians through really, really devastating by-election losses like Verdun and St. Paul's, we now see his own cabinet really, in a very public fashion, turning her back to the Prime Minister and to his leadership. So that was a really devastating blow. This is not death by a thousand cuts. This is death by just really severe stabs, right? This is really momentous losses that are being faced by this administration right now. And I think now it's a moment to actually demonstrate leadership and to show to progressives that the true alternative to the potential devastating cuts from a Pierre Poilievre-led Conservative government, cuts to dental care, child care, pharmacare, and more, is the New Democrats. And that's the New Democrats are trying to demonstrate, I think, with this pretty bold statement today to say that.
Why is this guy on this panel? Like, this is supposed to be unbiased. He's like so obviously just pumping his brother's tires. Like, what is this?
For those who really want to stand up to Conservatives, this is the alternative, not a fractured and sinking Liberal Party.
Rachel, speaking of the Conservatives, you had Pierre Poilievre come out today and kind of pull a move that I don't think a lot of people were asking, writing to Mary Simon, the Governor General, and saying it's time to force the Prime Minister to recall Parliament. Yeah. It doesn't seem like not clear that he can even do that.
Yeah, I think it's an open question right now how legitimate of a call this is. We went through the parliamentary procedure books today, and essentially, typically, an adjournment or recalling Parliament during an adjournment would be something that the government would talk to the Speaker of the House of Commons about. Now, the Conservatives have spoken to me making the case that really Mary Simon, as the Governor General, it is her responsibility to uphold the confidence convention and not the Speaker. So she would be the better placed person to have this conversation with the Prime Minister about next steps. We're still waiting to hear back from Mary Simon's office, the Governor General, about what she makes of Poilievre's letter, if there's going to be any further steps. But it would be quite unprecedented, I think, for the House of Commons to come back now, like 3 days or so before Christmas.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing that struck
I don't think Canadians care. Bring them back. Let's have a vote.
me today is Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre was actually, in all of this chaos, the one to take reporters' questions. The Prime Minister blew past us, said very little other than this was a good meeting about U.S. Dynamics and Merry Christmas. And then Jagmeet Singh dropped this letter, wasn't available to take reporters' questions today. And I think what he put out there has more questions prompted than specifically what was answered. Some of the wording in this, we're going to pull confidence. I think Canadians would be well worth kind of taking a good look at, given what we saw in September about we're going to rip up the deal, but then you still voted with them. Here you're saying you would put forward a motion and you would vote non-confidence. Would you vote non-confidence if the Conservatives have a motion? Would you vote non-confidence on a supply bill? Those are some of the questions that they haven't answered yet.
Yeah, and it sort of still leaves us in this position of, okay, now there's a looming threat going into the new year. We're only coming back. The Parliament is only due to come back on January 27th. But now they're left with no dance partners. The Liberals aren't. Yeah, so it's going to be fascinating to see if the Prime Minister kind of takes a look at, takes stock of what happened today and decide whether prorogation would be the next step. It is a risk with the uncertainty south of the border to not have our Parliament up and running specifically, but it could be a situation where he at least buys himself some time. It's something other leaders have done when they're facing a non-confidence vote, to buy some time to either try to, as McKinnon indicated to you, work with the other parties, try to find some path forward because of the high stakes with Trump coming in, or if you take that time to prorogue, have a leadership race. Like, there's so many scenarios right now that we're still trying to game out how this is going to go. But certainly, as things stand, the Prime Minister has until late January to face that vote. Yeah, and Mel must be smiling there because she remembers back, I don't remember how many months ago was it, she first mentioned the big P word. September. Okay, I'm going to mention the B word, a break.
Prorogation, folks, so Trudeau will be doing it. He's got nothing else aside from just stepping down right now. Going back to what she said here about non-confidence, she's right. Jagmeet's wording can be taken a few different ways. It means Pierre Poilievre would be getting the first confidence votes, and Jagmeet could not support those. Then Jagmeet being the smaller party, he would get it last, and then put at the end of the session. That means the election could come later, not at the beginning or middle or end of February, but maybe later in March or April. So Jagmeet's left this up to interpretation here. Tick tock, what's going to happen here in Canada? We really don't know every single day here, just waiting to see what's going to happen next. One thing's for sure, I don't think we're going to see Justin Trudeau in another question period ever again.